Hi, this next set of videos is going to demonstrate an example where we are trying to figure out how to plot data, how to graph data. Also, I want to show you about some data manipulation you can do in Excel. And so this next set of 4 videos, we're going to have one kind of an overview. I'm going to talk in this one about what the data is, what the plot should look like. The second one is we're going to talk about using data and copying it from one worksheet to the next, and then doing some plotting. The third video is going to talk about formatting our chart and how we can make it so that it looks appropriate and communicates what we want it to. And finally, the last video is going to talk about how we add trend lines. So let's talk about our data first. We have some time data as our X data. We've got distance data as our Y data. And what you're going to notice is our distance actually goes from positive to negative. So we must be talking about a situation where we go from, some ways away from a starting point, and then we cross the starting point and move into the other direction. So we're going maybe from east to west or some such thing. If you look at the data, you'll notice that the data is actually in the cells quite a bit longer. We have more digits past the decimal point than the 4 that are displayed. For Excel, if you have lots of digits displayed, actually for any communication, having more than 4 digits displayed is really not a really good idea because it's really hard to see what's going on and it's just too much and too noisy. So how I did this is I took to display just 4 decimal points. What I did is I highlighted all of my data points, went up to my ribbon, and you'll notice where I'm clicking, we've got increased decimal and decreased decimal. So go ahead and click on decreased decimal. I see that my decimals decrease from 3 down to 2, or back up to 3 or 4 or 5 or however many. So I'm going to click on the decrease and get it back to the 4 that I originally had. So that's just one thing to know, that it's a much better idea to just display fewer numbers of digit past the decimal point. Let's talk about the chart here a little bit. You'll notice a couple things about this chart. First of all, we've got distance versus time, so we've got a chart title, and as I click on it, you can see that that's what it's named it as, the chart title. We've also got chart area, and we've got a vertical axis title of distance, and notice it was able to align that vertically so that it looks like how we like charts. We've also got an x-axis chart, or title, axis title of time in minutes. We've got some grid lines, and we've also got some scatter points. You'll notice that we didn't connect the dots in this data, and that's a great idea. You typically don't want to do that because connecting the dots implies that we know something that happens between the data points. We don't have data between the data points. So using scatter plots for experimental data is a much better choice. Finally, about the graph, you'll notice that we have a trend line, and I'm going to show you in the final video, the 4th video of this series, how to add a trend line. And you'll also notice we have an R-squared value, which tells us how good of a fit that linear model is. The final thing I'm going to show you how to do is notice that the decimals on the graphs for the numbers are only 1 decimal. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Even though our data had 4 decimal points, we're going to only want to show 1 data point, 1 point past the decimal for precision, because it's just too noisy to have all that much data on the plot. So with that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and stop this video, and we will start the next one up with how to copy data from one sheet to another and how to work with multiple sheets in a